This video will show the rate of return needed to restore a loss, as well as the rate needed to stay on track for a financial goal. Assume you need to earn an 8% return compounded annually on your investment to stay on track for your financial goal. The stocks you invested in post a loss of 15% for the first year. Number one, what rate of return would you need to earn the next year to make up for the loss? And number two, to stay on track and earn an average of 8% each year, what rate of return would you need the next year? To answer these questions, we'll be using the compound interest formula when the interest is compounded annually, which is shown below, which is A equals P times the quantity 1 plus R raised to the power of T, where A is the amount after time T, where T is the time in years, P is the starting amount or principal, and R is the annual rate of return expressed as a decimal. To begin, we need to assume a starting amount or principal, and it doesn't matter which amount we choose, it is not going to affect the result. I'm going to go ahead and let P, the principal, be equal to $100 just to simplify the calculations. The first step is to determine the account balance after the first year with a loss of 15%, which is equal to A sub loss, which is equal to 100 times the quantity 1 minus 0.15 raised to the first power. Of course, we can leave off the first power, and also notice because of the loss, we're using R equals negative 0.15. This gives us $85 for the amount in the account after a loss of 15%. And now to answer the question, what rate of return would be needed the next year to make up for the loss, we need to determine what rate of return must be earned on $85 over 1 year so that the account balance is restored back to the original balance of $100. This would be the rate to restore the loss or break even. This gives us the equation 85 times the quantity 1 plus R sub BE equals 100, where R sub BE again is the rate to restore the loss or the break-even rate. And now we need to solve the equation for R sub BE. The first step is to divide both sides by 85. Simplifying on the left, 85 divided by 85 simplifies to 1, leaving us with 1 plus R sub BE equals 100 divided by 85. Solving for R sub BE, we subtract 1 on both sides, and now we go to the calculator to determine the rate to restore the loss or break even. We enter 100 divided by 85, right arrow, minus 1, enter. Rounded to 4 decimal places, we have 0.1765. I should mention, technically we should never round down because if we do, we will be just short of the amount that we need. In this case though, R sub BE is approximately 0.1765 or 17.65%. This indicates you would need to earn 17.65% the next year in order to make up for the loss and restore the account balance back to $100. And let's go ahead and check this. To check this, we substitute 0.1765 for R sub BE in the equation shown here. We have 85 times the quantity 1 plus 0.1765, close parenthesis, and enter. And notice how this does restore the account balance back to $100. In general, we can use the formula shown here on the right to determine the rate in the next year that will restore an investment loss. We have R sub BE is equal to 1 divided by the difference of 1 and the rate of loss minus 1. I also want to mention, if you make up for the loss in the second year or next year, you are now 2 years behind your financial goal because you needed to earn 8% compounded annually on the investment of $100, which brings us to the second question. To stay on track and earn an average of 8% each year, what rate of return would you need the next year? The first step is to determine what the amount should have been after 2 years of earning 8% interest compounded annually. Well, after the first year, A sub 1, the account balance should be 100 times 1.08, which means after the second year, because you're earning 8% on the amount after 1 year, the amount after 2 years should be 100 times 1.08 times 1.08, or 100 times the square of 1.08, which again, this is simply the compound interest formula where the interest is compounded annually for 2 years, which results in $116.64. To determine the rate needed in the second year to get back on track, we need to determine what rate of return you must earn on $85 to result in an account balance of $116.64 in the next year. This gives us the equation 85 times the quantity 1 plus r sub track equals 116.64. And now we solve the equation like we solved the equation above. The next step is to divide both sides by 85. Simplifying, we have 1 plus r sub track equals 116.64 divided by 85. Next, we subtract 1 on both sides, and now we go to the calculator. And we enter 116.64 divided by 85, right arrow, minus 1. Enter. Now, I just said earlier we shouldn't round down, but for consistency, I'm going to round to 4 decimal places as we normally do. The rate needed in the second year to get back on track is approximately 0.3722, resulting in 37.22%. So again, in order to get back on track and earn an average of 8% each year, after losing 15% in the first year, you would need to earn 37.22% in the second year to get back on track. And again, let's go ahead and check this. To check this, we enter 85 times the quantity 1 plus 0.3722, close parenthesis, and enter. Rounding to the nearest cent, notice how the account balance is on track with a balance of $116.64. In general, we can determine the rate needed to get back on track in a second year after a year of loss using the formula shown here on the right, which is r sub track is equal to the square of 1 plus r sub goal divided by the difference of 1 and r sub loss minus 1, where r sub goal in our case would be 8% and r sub loss is 15%. I hope you found this helpful.